Hi, I'm Selena Lovett, and I'm from Annie's Bookstop of Worcester. So I'm here with Brad Simpson from Blackstone Publishing Company. Um, and Brad, I've got some questions for you about publishing, about your publishing. Where is Blackstone located?
Well, first of all, Selena, thanks for having me on. This is sort of different for me too. I know we've lent a couple of our authors for interviews, so I think this is going to be a real fun format, and I'm happy to talk. I'm a sales rep, so we like to talk us reps, but so it's a pleasure to be here today. Blackstone, it's located in Ashland, Oregon. It's a town south of Medford, right there, kind of north of the California state line. That's where the owner, Craig Black and Michelle Black founded the company back in the mid 80s.
So that's where the name Blackstone came from?
I believe it was. I believe Black, his last name had something to do with that, although, I don't know what goes into that because there's two actual stones for the logo. So, there probably was some thought process that went behind it.
Interesting. So how many people work at Blackstone?
There's, last count I had about 250, 260. I believe we may have doubled in our size probably over the last, I'm going to guess 5, 6, 7 years. So it's a rapidly growing company.
So is Blackstone a part of a larger company, or are you just a private company?
We're an individual owned company. Blackstone is founded again by Craig Michelle Black. They've owned it since I think 1985. So we are an independently owned company. And Craig and Michelle, they're semi-retired right now, but their son-in-law is actually at the helm as our CEO. So it's a family-based company for sure.
Great. So how many books are published a year at Blackstone?
It's grown exponentially. When we first started our print venture back, oh gosh, around 2015 or 16, I believe they published 5 print books. Now, our catalog of audiobooks is tens of thousands. We've done a lot of audiobooks, but our print line has been established about 2016, and there was a 5, 10 books published. We're up to about 80 to 100 a year right now. So we keep growing our list, and our stable of authors keeps getting bigger and more breadth, and more popular celebrity authors. So we're really growing it in a great direction right now.
So it's 80 to 100 print books or
Per year print books, correct? Yeah, and that does include our trade print, our hard copy, large print. We will publish that as well. But 80 to 100 different individual titles,
and
give or take.
what about the audiobooks?
Oh, there are hundreds, if not thousands, per year. We do a lot of licensing through Hachette, Simon and Schuster, some of the big 5 publishers that no longer mass produce their content. Blackstone does that for them, and our own titles as well. So there's quite a few. I don't delve much into the audio publishing side, as indie bookstores 90-95% offer print books or ebooks as well through Libros.
So did you say that Blackstone actually publishes the audiobooks too?
Oh yeah, all formats. Yeah, typically when we publish a book, it's throughout it's cross format through every different format, hard copy and physical and digital.
And how do you get the actors for the audiobooks or the narrators?
They've worked with narrators. I'm sure there are a lot of them are based out of the California location. A lot of the we have a satellite office in New York where a lot of the agents and narrators work through our New York location. So it's kind of where the talent pool is located. We'll have studios, where the narrators will do their books, and they have to audition for them. It has to match the characters and the theme, and the voice of what the tone of the author is trying to convey. That's kind of how that works on the audio side of it. But yeah, it's like a performance. They
Hmm.
can make or break a book.
Wow. So how many books do you publish a month generally?
Monthly it's varies. When they do, they don't want to be too heavy in one month and light on the next. So I mean, on average, I guess you could say there's between 5 to 8 books per month published, but it's not really done, sequentially on a monthly basis, exactly the same amount each time. And it more on a seasonal basis. So we do have 2 seasons a year, spring from January through July, and fall season goes from August through December. So we try to balance it out per season.
Hmm. Okay. Um, so now a lot of people are, a lot of our customers are interested in writing books. So how do you get a book published at Blackstone? And do you need
You
an
know,
agent?
yeah, that's a that's a tricky one because I'm in sales, not acquisitions, but I do know that a lot of people that read like to write. I like to write. I had been, kind of dabbled into it myself back in my 20s and 30s and tried to get published. So I feel the pain, trust me. But typically an agent is usually required to kind of break down that door. So usually the first route you'd want to be looking toward is to try to acquire an agent that specializes in authors and genres and content that you're interested in writing. And most publishers really don't take a lot of unsolicited manuscripts anymore. I think self-publishing has become kind of a big thing, although I don't know a lot about how those channels work. Um, there are authors that are self-published that will break through and get to a big publisher through their self-published work, having success. So it's a culmination of skill, timing, of course, who that always helps.
It
So
always helps.
go to
Yeah.
those conferences, go meet people, take classes and courses in writing with other writers and authors, and just kind of network that way. There's a whole world of opportunities at the fingertips if you really want to dig for it. But um, me personally, I have zero influence over the process, but that's just what I've learned. You
Okay.
know, yeah.
So what is the process when someone's book is actually accepted, um, and you begin the process of publishing? And why does it take so long usually to get a book, to get a book actually published once it's accepted? Has the pandemic right now affected you very much as far as that goes?
Well, as far as publishing a book, I'm not sure if the pandemic's had an effect on that. It has on the manufacturing side of things with, supply chain issues and shortage of materials, print, like paper, ink, freight companies and court and couriers that are understaffed. That's been a problem for the last couple of years, trying to streamline that process for author events that have to get books, from A to B within 4 days. It has become an issue. There's really a lot of steps involved. From my perspective, I know that there's an editorial process. Of course, the book has to get licensed. What rights does the author and agent put together for the book through the publishing company? The cover design, that takes a lot of time to put that together and create, a graphic that makes sense. Obviously, the audio narration, we talked about the recording process, and that does take quite a bit of time to record a book, go back to edit that book. So they have to give leeway on the time frame of when it can be published just based on the audio as well. And then just kind of slotting the release date, what makes sense in marketing the book. Is it a book that's geared toward fathers? I mean, you want to hold that to maybe Father's Day around that time, June. And
Mhm.
um, romance, obviously, the Valentine's Day season, the holiday season, that might be a good time to release that book. So there's just a lot of factors that go into it, several steps, and it does seem to take forever. And then when something sometimes looks like it's ready to go, I mean, there's a delay for 4 months, 6 months, because some fine print in the contract didn't work out to the way that the agent wanted, so we got to go back to square one. So there's a lot that goes into it for sure.
Great. Okay. So what makes Blackstone different from other publishing companies?
I guess typically, I guess people thought of us as a we're kind of more of a mid-sized publisher now. We're not a big five. We don't have thousands and thousands of titles we publish each year and thousands of employees to kind of streamline and sort of put in their own little segmented channels. We're a really versatile publisher. Because I think because of our size, because of our leadership, we like to try new things, test the waters, so to speak, on just new initiatives, new promotions, new formats. For example, how we kind of delved into the print world about 6 years ago after being one of the largest audio publishers in the world, and since the mid 80s. We kind of took a turn and decided we want to go work with indies. We want to do print, and that format. It's a growing, evolution for us right now. Bit of a loss leader, but we're getting traction and gaining steam, and like I said, we're getting better authors, bigger titles, and we are increasing. Happy to say sales over the last few years seems to be going the right direction. So really our versatility, and I think just a lot of the creative people that work there from the top are doing a fantastic job growing the business.
So what is really new at Blackstone?
Well, we got a few things I can show you. I've got a slide I've put together. So let me go ahead and I'll pop that up and we can share a screen if you don't mind. I can go through a few things for you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, let me get see if we can remember how technology works here. You able to see that? Okay.
Yep. There you
All
go.
right, good. This is kind of our, just sort of a nice little welcome screen of some of the catalogs we've had over the past probably 6, 7 seasons. Like I said, our graphics team is just great. They put together such wonderful, not just artwork, but our catalog designs, I think, are awesome too. So I had to give that a quick shout out. But in terms of some new stuff we've got going on, last year we launched a couple of reissued editions of classic books that we rebranded with really gorgeous artwork that you
Beautiful
see
cover.
here. Yeah, it's just fantastic. The Great Gatsby by F. Scott Fitzgerald, and the 1926 classic The Sun Also Rises. These are a couple of ones that we started with. Some Ernest Hemingway trivia for you, Selena. Did you know that he started his career as a newspaper writer in Kansas City at the age of 17 by chance?
Yep.
As a Kansas City, and I was kind of proud of that fact. That's sort of my stomping grounds there. So I have to shout out to my hometown. But we're going to be adding some more public domain titles as exclusive as our exclusive classic collector's edition line. Probably do 1 or 2 a year going forward, incorporating this really neat, unique sort of artsy deco cover designs that we produce in-house. Great for like stunning cover facing displays on indie bookshelves, I think. I believe we're looking to acquire Orwell's Animal Farm in, I believe, 1984 as well in the next year or so. So that's a couple of things coming out in the future. And really some exciting things we got on the acquisitions front. Blackstone just basically partnered with our newest client publisher, and we're going to introduce some other publishing partners next year and beyond to kind of offer a wider breadth of titles through various imprints. The first contract being signed with Made for Success. So this one specializes in like business titles, self-help, personal development, some religious content, with authors that have appeared on TED Talks and other media platforms. A lot of authors that basically offer the inspirational messages to like their millions of followers. Something Blackstone hasn't published a lot of, so we'll add a little bit of content to our list. That's one thing I just thought I would kind of mention. And I wanted to kind of give a quick shout out to some of the indie designs in their table displays and booth like bookshelf displays. We do like co-ops with other indies through our publishing line, and I think we put together some pretty cool swag and totes and keychains and fobs to kind of give away. We love to partner with our indie bookstores, and they just do a fabulous job. So really this is just kind of a compliment to you guys and your creativity and how you provide this to your readership and reach out to your community for better stuff, to good alternatives, I guess, so to speak.
Great, thanks.
We do have a new printer. I can tell you a little bit about that real quickly. It's pretty neat. We just invested in this about a year ago, a little over a year ago. This gives us the ability, this commercial printing press, we can kind of, well, now that we can print the majority of our own books in-house, we have a little bit more control over that process. And that's really since COVID, obviously being able to put books in our own house, in our own warehouse, print them, artwork, get it all, put together and shipped out, from one location instead of relying on a process from a third party source. So this has been a huge benefit for us. It's kind of, changing the way that we put out our content in the brave new world of supply chain issues. Been a huge benefit on just so many levels. Our print on demand model ensures that we can meet the strictest, highest quality control standards by printing, binding, packing, everything from start to finish. And we can literally guarantee about 100% fulfillment with every title this way. And we also do something cool. We send authors what we call tip-in sheets, which are sheets that the author signs by a ream of paper at their house or at their location, wherever they're from, anywhere in the country. So once they sign these sheets, 50, 100, 500, 1,000, they just ship them back to us at our warehouse, and we incorporate that tip-in sheet as part of the book to create a signed copy without having to ship like pallets of books, which is really expensive. So that's kind of a big deal for us, and how we, kind of, navigated the waters, I guess, through the challenges we've seen in the last couple of years. But it's been a big benefit for us.
Okay.
Yeah, and we've got some titles too, if you want to hear about them.
Yeah, I'd love to.
All right, well, let me
You've
dive
got
into
some-
those.
You've got some
Yeah.
incredible authors on this page.
Yeah, we do. We do. I probably ought to refresh the page. These are books from last year, but you can see the artwork's just wonderful. But yeah, we've got a lot of benefit having a graphic design team that just does such amazing work too. Because sometimes people judge a book by the cover. I hate to say it, I do too. It's just a natural fact of life. But we have wonderful, wonderful graphics. But yeah, just to go through a couple of books real quickly, we New York NYPD Red 7 is a new one we've got coming out by Marshall Karp. This is a crime thriller. It's about a sniper's bullet that ends the life of a high-profile New Yorker, and uptown, another prominent victim is slashed. So there's a network of professional assassins that's on the loose in New York City, and they're trained by the U.S. military. Big professional challenge for the Red Team. So before it's over, investigative detectives are going to be changed forever, trying to capture, the subjects that are responsible. Marshall, he's an international #1 best-selling author. He's also a TV and screenwriter, a playwright, and he has worked with James Patterson to co-create and co-write this series. But now, after 6 bestsellers, he's carrying on this legacy of Book 7 on his own. And having just received a PW Star review, this novel really features a lot of intense characters, evil people, action-packed to the core. So readers are going to have to hold on to their seats on this one. So that's one I was just going to talk about. A couple of others, if we have a moment. These are coming out next season, so look out for those down the road. In this January is The Keeper of Stories by Sally Page. Really excited about this one. It's a charming and uplifting debut book about, it's really full of humor and depth of characters, and it takes the readers around the world by surprise, as it was a UK or is a UK bestseller currently, about a house cleaner named Janice. She can't recall what started her collection. Maybe it was like a fragmented conversation overheard while she cleaned a kitchen sink, or or a toilet. But before long, as she was dusting a sitting room or defrosting a fridge, she noticed that people were starting to tell her all their stories. And she knows that it's in these people's stories that you really get to know a person. And this gives her really a unique insight into the community around her. And then when she starts cleaning house for Mrs. B, who's a shrewd and prickly older woman in her 90s, she finally meets someone who wants to hear her story. But Janice is clear. She's the keeper of stories, and she doesn't have a story to tell, at least not one that she can share. But anyway, that's kind of the premise of the book. It's fantastic. It's been reviewed really, really well. It's a staff favorite. During her studies in floristry, this author actually came to appreciate that flower shops offer a unique window into people's lives. So she began to photograph, and she began to write stories in a series of nonfiction books. And as she continued this story came to life, Keeper of Stories. So that's kind of a little bit of a background on that.
Very nice.
Another one we really are excited about, and this is really, I think this will be next on my reading list. The galley's sitting on my table just staring at me, but I'm kind of obsessed with it. Artwork is beautiful. It's called Blood Circus, and this is by Camilla Victori. It's a YA fantasy dystopian, but there is a lot of adult crossover appeal in this, so it would be good for that to, that readership as well. But Blackstone can't wait to put this out. It's a terrifying debut, and it draws upon the author's experience being involved in a traveling circus as she was growing up. Actually. So, and she combines this experience and creates a future where cruelty and spectacle hold the keys to subjugating humans on a ravaged earth. So if that storyline doesn't intrigue you, I can't help you. It's fascinating. And the obvious selling point on this and reading as a reader is the Camilla's experience and her personal connection to the story growing up in a circus. It was, kind of forged her unique adolescence, I guess you can say, in writing this book. And I think when you consider a lot of readers and a growing number of people really place a premium on authenticity, this should resonate really well, especially in the the YA fantasy genre. And the book's been referred to as kind of climate conscious, reading list ready. It's not preachy, but the author is an activist, and she infuses a lot of aspects of the grim environmental issue with current climate research. So it really is a good book for perfect or for organizations like YALSA and state reading lists and such. Another one we've got coming up is Family Morphowitz. This is by Daniel H. Turtle. Family Morphowitz is a retelling of Ovid's metamorphosis in Greco-Roman myth as a multi-generational Jewish family from the embers of the Second World War. They kind of rose above as a ruthless and forceful entity that destroyed people who sought to destroy them, and it was guided by their matriarch. The Morphowitzes, they sought out to build their own Olympus on the New York City skyline, and together they kind of mercilessly pursued their fortune. So as you might imagine, from the synopsis, this book is it's a little literary and a little heavy for people who enjoy more complexity and traits of like cultural text in the reads, but he's a fantastic author. Daniel's the author also of Greetings from Asbury Park. He's a winner of the Faulkner Society Award for Best Novel, and I think he's a Duke graduate, but he's a very educated man. And a couple of ones I've just finished. I'd like to recommend this one. I don't know if it fits in your wheelhouse, but it's called Beasts of the Earth by James Wade. I worked with him in New Orleans last week. His first couple of novels were described as rhapsodic and haunting. And now he delivers a very powerful work about a chilling parable vividly set in the landscapes of the South, about a quiet and dependable employee of a high school grounds department whose carefully maintained life is overthrown by an act of violence. And then 20 years earlier, a young boy dreads the return of his father from prison, a horrible individual, a very evil man. And he spends his days stealing from trap lines. They're very, very poor. They live around the Louisiana Bayou. He has to do this to feed his mother and sister, but then his father returns. And with that, an evil that arises in his life that sends him running from everything, he's ever known before. James lives in the South, Texas, I believe Austin at this point. He's won the prestigious Reading of the West Award for debut fiction with All Things Left Wild. He's also a recipient of the Spur Award, but this is not a Western. He writes kind of cross-culturally in different landscapes and genres. And this is, his writing he's one of the more talented writers we have as a pure natural writer, wonderfully atmospheric, and just one of my favorite authors. And this one I'd like to mention as well. It's God, Family, Country by Craig Morgan. This has been published or will be published, I guess, in about 2 weeks. Craig's a country music icon, veteran, a father, an outdoorsman. He writes a memoir about stories that even his most ardent fans don't know about. He's had quite the life. He's been an ex-soldier. He's worked with the CIA in Panama, an undercover agent who fought sex traffickers in Thailand, dedicated family man, military man, turned into a singer, songwriter. He was inducted in the Grand Ole Opry 2008. He's charted 25 songs on Billboard. And a lot of people don't know the name, but they know his music, and his backstory and history of his experiences is absolutely fascinating. You can't read this book and not be a fan of Craig Morgan. Um,
Great.
then I'm listening to an audiobook, one more if we have a moment.
Yep.
This is Runtime. This one gets me through my treadmill exercises in the garage. It is a fast-paced, scorching, white-hot knuckle ride by Catherine Ryan Howard, her latest. Basically, this was our recently announced Blackstone's second Indie Next pick for the month of August, so we're really proud of that. We've had two of these in the last year. It's about a movie called Final Draft, a psychological thriller that's being filmed at a house deep in the forest of Ireland, where the author is from. She's a best-selling author in her hometown, or in her home state too, by the way, or her home country. But this book takes place miles away from anywhere in the West Corks of Ireland, where the lead actress senses that there's really something just not quite right on set. And when strange circumstances in the script start to happen in real life on set, she realizes that the horror might lie off the page. But a psychological thriller, again, this is one you want to work out to. It's a page turner. You're dying to get to the final ending, if not just because it's so intriguing and enthralling just for your own escape, to get rid of all these characters that are just haunting you day and night. She's an Edgar Award finalist who brought us Distress Signals, The Liar's Girl, and the #1 best-selling book in her native land, The Nothing Man, which was just fantastic. Her most recent hit before this, 56 Days, was chosen as the Book of the Month selection last July. She's also a New York Times and Washington Post best thriller author, and we're just delighted to have this and all the authors on our ever-growing stable of authors on the Blackstone team. So that's just a kind of quick briefing of some of the books that I've listened to, that I've read, that I would recommend, and that I can't wait to get my hands on in the very near future as we get to the next season. So hopefully you found that a little bit interesting. I've got more to come with that, but right now I know we're probably running out of time, so I guess I can delay this till the next session we've got. But yeah, I love this, and I love talking to you about these books. So
that's great. Thank you. They sound like incredible books.
Yeah, they really are. I hope your readers will pick them up, and you know where to get them if you need them. I'm right here, so
definitely.
you just let us know.
Annie's Bookstop of Worcester. If you want these books, well, some of them are not available yet, but you just call us at Annie's. Call us at 508-796-5613, or you can order books from us. You send email to orders@anniesbooksworcester.com. So thank you.
Many of these will be signed copies as well. So, a lot of these are signed.
Yes.
Yeah.
Books from Blackstone can be signed.
Absolutely.
So thank you very much, Brad,
Yeah,
for all this great information. And we will hopefully be hearing from you again with your next set of books.
I'd love to.
Yes. And I appreciate your coming here.
Yeah, likewise. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.